Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week. This past Wednesday was the kickoff for the media for PC Insider's report on the garden centers. This is all the great plant material that you'll see in the stores, all the PC Loblaws chain, the superstores, etc. You'll see the garden centers out there. And that's where you're going to find all these great plants. They have 20 exclusive varieties and 40 new plants and garden products that they haven't carried before. So every year they improve, change, and give you the best they can find from all the different breeding programs throughout the world. They travel to all the pack trials and other trials as well. And they grow with some of the best growers in North America. So not only do they search for them, but the material is brought in and grown by the best growers in all of North America. So when I say there's 20 exclusive varieties, that means there's 20 exclusive ones you're not going to find somewhere else. And with 40 new products, you're always going to find something new, which is what I like because, as you can sort of imagine, let's be honest, I get a little jaded, right? So let's start with a few things and say, first, they have shrubs. Secondly, they have tropicals. They have perennials. They have annuals. They have hanging baskets. And they all have them in smaller pots. Now, they also have these nice, neat collections of herbs and cut and come again greens. All great. And the reason I like them is, one, most of them come from Freeman Herbs, one of the best growers for herbs in Ontario. So, in fact, I don't know of a better one. So, there's a lot of good ones there. They had a pot of arugula. Now, I like arugula a little bit to add a little spice to my salads, etc., or to my wraps. And the other thing is that they have one in there called wasabi. Now, this is a wasabi arugula, and it sort of hits you and then disappears. So it isn't lingering hot taste like chili pepper. It just sort of hits you and then disappears and fades, which is good. That means that you're getting the flavor, the heat, and then it's dropping down and giving you great, great flavors in whatever you've mixed them with, whether it's a salad. In the gravy with roast beef is supposed to be spectacular with that, but to each his own. I have to admit that the Gigantico annuals always attract me. And there's one that I wanted that I didn't get because everybody got there before me in this group of garden writers, right? Most of them American garden writers, and like myself. And they had a begonia called Miss Montreal, which is a trailing begonia for baskets and planters and pots, etc. And I looked at it and I went, oh yeah. Now, it's a very light pink, almost white, with little hints and blushes of pink. It is spectacular. It is unusual. It is nice. And it trails. So it's a tone on tone. And these are becoming more and more popular in the flowers. Now, the new Guinea hybrid impatiens called Neon Night is another one that's there, and it is what you would call a supercharged neon shimmer. And this shimmer and glimmer of the colors that you can go and put into any of the containers is just great. It's outstanding mixes of different colors. Not that expensive. They come in like a 4.5-inch pot. You'll also be able to get this in some of the hanging baskets as well, but mainly in 4-inch pots. You're going to like them. The other cool thing, and I've you know, if you've listened to me, I do not like verbena. But the newer verbenas that are more resistant to mildew and spider mite and keep reblooming, particularly if you do a little soft deadheading, are spectacular. They always give you the color, the show that you really want. And there is a new one. Now, this new one is a verbena which is called Wicked Mad Magenta Empress. Now, that's what I call one heck of a name. First of all, Wicked Mad, okay, Magenta, and Empress. Each bloom has a bouquet of tiny little florets, and it's a magenta center offset with purple, pink, and white florets. So you've got this ever-changing, ever-blooming combination of these all on the same plant. Spectacular, loves to be out in the sun. So moist, well-drained, and sunny locations. Great in containers. You're going to see in the PC Insiders garden centers, you're going to see them in containers and mixes as well. The Canova cannas are one that I grew, and they only had one kind last year. These are from seed. These are F1 hybrids, so they're not carrying any of the diseases that many of the tubers from the other cannas that you're so used to start to build up. These don't. So all that, what you think is brown edged leaves and stripes and spots and everything else that you think is just, oh, I'm doing something wrong with my canna, is actually endemic disease within the plant because you're using the same tubers year after year after year. This way you can get rid of them. Now, it does develop the tubers, but I've never found the tubers to be that big or easier to store. So I just throw them away. Buy new ones. And that is my strongest recommendation. In the Canova series this year, they're all going to get a good 3 feet tall. They may go to 4. They bloom and bloom and bloom, but I do recommend that you do deadhead as they go along. They are going to come in some different colors this year, so I want you to go and take a look. The yellows, the reds, and of course there is a bronze foliaged with the pink as well. So you have different combinations, mainly green, but I want to see these used more in large containers as a centerpiece in replacement of an old Dracaena spike that everybody seems to want to do. So try that as well. And you'll really be impressed, I think, with the Canova cannas that they have at the PC garden centers. There are going to be more of the geraniums. They're going to be the crimson flame geraniums as well. So you're going to see those. They seem to stand up in the pots, and I overwinter a couple of them just to see if they do, and they do, with not as much care as I think they should get, and yet they still did well. And so I've already got my old geranium out there hardening off, and it's doing rather well. And it's about 2 feet tall now. So we'll see how it always comes together. And gives me great shows. So do that one. They're going to have calliope geraniums as well, which never stop blooming. Do need to be deadheaded on occasion, though. They say if you don't, it doesn't really matter, but I think they look nicer when you clean them. Okay, up to you. Let you do it. It depends. I also find it really quite easy and a mindless job, which is sometimes the best kind of gardening job, because then you don't have to really worry too much about, oh, did I miss that one? Or, I took that. Look, I took an extra leaf off. With calliope, they outgrow it. They outflower anyways, even your mistakes. So go for it. They have the Rex Begonias, and the new one is the Shadow King Cool White. Now, the downside to this one is that it looks like it has mildew. It looks like it has splashed mildew. So it's like a bad painter who is painting and then splashed it on, and you'll get some spots of white, and then you get this sort of mist over the darker foliage of the white, and it sort of looks almost ghostly. But in the house for the winter, because remember the Rexes can all come in as houseplants, this is going to be a spectacular color. I'm going to recommend that you use this as a contrast to other shade plants, because it's going to have that much color and size, but it also goes with all the other colors that you may want to put into a container. Also, you can also do a mixed pot of Rex begonias and see how they go, because most of them are mainly on the reds and the pinks and the silvers and that, and really quite spectacular. So try that one as well. Unstoppable Fire is another one that they're going to have, and this is a begonia, and I like this one because it sizes up, it branches well, and it just never stops blooming. It is going to be available in this year in two colors, red and the Unstoppables. I'll call it coral. Yeah, sort of a coral pinky orange, but it's more pink than orange, and both are spectacular and big, bold, aggressive. The older varieties of this one used to always be very indeterminate. In other words, they wouldn't branch. You always had to trim them back, remove the old flower buds, make sure you were getting them to try and even get some branching, and by the end of the season you had a decent plant if you worked hard at it. These ones all break and have many breaks, which are branches, for those of you who don't know, that are going to all flower. More breaks, more flowers. And so you're going to really like the Begonia Unstoppable Fire. And I've picked out the red ones. Okay, so I'm a guy. When it comes to some of the tropicals, you're going to see the hibiscus, including that fabulous one from last year, the Fiesta, with the two-tone, soft, gorgeous ones, as well as all the bright, bright yellow. Now, this one is called Sunny Yellow, and it's got a bigger, darker red eye. A lot of the hibiscus do, but this one has more red eye in it, so it's a fabulous contrast to the very, very good sunny yellow. And I mean that. It is a good yellow. None of this wimpy, soft stuff. It's in-your-face yellow with that deep, deep cherry red, or even red, dark red, blood red, dried blood red center. However you want to describe it, it is very spectacular. And it will be available both in tree form and in bush form, both of them, both the Fiesta and the Sunny Yellow. So Eugenia is going to be there, all shaped into topiaries. Now remember, these are not going to be hardy, but the pricing is right, and you can use them either as balls, because there's going to be ball forms, there's going to be multiple ball forms, there's going to be spiral forms, and they're all going to be really in about a 10-inch pot. Spectacular for the summer. Will not take more than the occasional light frost. After that, they're dead. So, if you want to try and winter them, you're going to need a very sunny, bright, what you would call cold place. It needs to be cool. If you're looking for a Boston fern that doesn't drop all its old leaves yellow and become a real mess in the garden and tolerates being outside, and you've seen them in shady containers in people's front yards, backyards, etc., then the one that you want is this one. This is Nevada, and they are saying that it will do all the things I just said. And I know, because they have them every year. And I have seen them before. I've seen them in people's gardens. And now you can get them quite easily as well. One of the trends in Europe is the garden kalanchoes. And with the garden kalanchoes, these are going to be for hot, dry, sunny places. They are going to bloom and bloom and bloom. We all know that kalanchoes bloom for a very long time. I don't see why these couldn't be cut back and potted up and brought into the house for the winter as houseplants and just to grow on up into bigger plants. I won't say that you could do cuttings from it, but there is a possibility that you could work that out. And I think we're going to see, I know I'm going to grow some in my garden and see just how well they actually do as a garden plant, which is what they do with them. And it is a really, really big, strong trend in Europe this year, actually as well last year. We will see. There's a lot more to talk about. And the next podcast will continue. But I want you to get out this weekend, get into the PC Insiders Garden Centers, because they are a spectacular show of color. I didn't even go and talk about the divine impatiens. And I've grown divine. I like divine. And I grow divine in containers with adequate moisture in full sun. And you'd swear that they were a irregular impatiens, except they're so much bigger, better, and more beautiful. I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.